If you're trying to lose weight and it's feeling very slow right now, you feel like you're doing everything right, you're ticking all of the boxes, but the scale is not moving. This is very common. So I have noticed most people usually quit, not because the fat loss isn't working, it's because it's not happening fast enough. And I've been there myself many times, and then I often make progress, feel like it's not working, so I quit what I'm doing, and then I put the weight back on, and then I start again, and I go around in a circle, and it keeps repeating this cycle. So what's actually happening? There's a gap between what's happening in our body and then what's showing up on the scales. And that's where most people, including me in the past, you start overthinking it and you just fall off the diet. So I'm going to break down in this video what's actually going on, why fat loss feels slow, and how to stay patient with it. So number one, the scale is not showing you the whole picture, and this took me years to learn. And one of the biggest mistakes we make is taking the scale way too literally. Your body weight isn't just fat. It's a mix of lots of different things that change on a day-to-day basis. So for example, water levels. Have you drunk more water than usual? Have you got water retention? Are you due on your period? Because like hormones can fluctuate things. Have you eaten more carbs and you've got more glycogen stores? Have you had more sodium intake? Or have you had like an intense workout that you don't normally do? Because that can trigger a mild inflammatory response to repair the muscles, which can cause like temporary water retention and stuff. So there's so many things that can change your weight on the scales day to day, and none of this is fat. This is not fat loss. This is just what you're seeing day to day. So if you think, for example, as well, like carbs, if 1 gram of carb can hold about 3 grams of water. So if you've had more carbs like the day before, for example, then you're going to be heavier probably the next day because you've got more glycogen stores which are holding on to more water as well. So this is something we don't always think about. And this is where people can get confused because they think by seeing this they've gained fat when they haven't. So if you've had a big meal the night before, lots of carbs, you've got more water in your body, and then you get on the scales the next morning and it's jumped up considerably, you're going to panic and you're probably going to feel disheartened because you're not thinking of the daily changes and fluctuations. You're just thinking, oh my God, I've gained fat, I've gained weight. And that is not the case. So what's actually happening is fat loss is slow and steady, but daily fluctuations, like what I've mentioned, are pretty fast and unpredictable. So what's usually going on is, despite all of these random scale changes that are happening day to day, fat loss is still happening in the background underneath all of this, but it's being hidden by these fluctuations on the scale. So when you get on the scales daily, you just think nothing is changing. Your weight has not changed despite you working your butt off, doing everything, like you feel like you're doing everything right. And this can sometimes last days or even weeks, because especially if your body's adapting, if you've just changed your diet, if you've started training harder, or your body's still adjusting, it feels like nothing is happening and nothing is working, but it actually is. So what do we do instead? Well, instead of focusing on just your daily weigh-ins, because that can be inaccurate, you've got to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. So look at your weekly average weight, not just the single days. Take progress pictures and videos, similar lighting, similar posture, similar clothing. Measure your, take like waist measurements, or in inches or centimeters. Just start measuring your body parts, and also see how you're doing in the gym. So if you log your gym workouts and you're like logging each machine, or how much you're lifting, and you sort of track that every week, see how you're doing, because if you're getting stronger, you often get stronger whilst you're losing fat in the background as well. So basically, fat loss doesn't show up in just a number on the scales. You have to take all of these things into consideration and track multiple stuff. Number 2 is fat loss takes way longer than people expect. This is another reason we lose patience, because we're underestimating how long it takes to actually lose fat. So we want to see results quickly, usually with minimal effort. And this is not realistic. And when we think like this, with this mindset, we basically set ourselves up for failure. Because as humans, we just want the reward without the work. So when we don't see much progress at first, we assume that it's not working. But fat loss doesn't work in this way. It's very slow and steady. So if 1 pound of fat loss is about 3,500 calories, even with a solid 500 calorie deficit per day, you're still only looking at about a pound of fat loss per week. And that's if everything goes perfectly, which it doesn't. If you think we've got birthdays, we've got meals out, random plans, so it's never even that simple. And on top of that, early weight loss is often misleading because in the first couple of weeks, you actually lose water weight from glycogen drop-in. You've got less food volume in your stomach because you're in a deficit. And you've also had changes from carbs and salt intake. So the scale quickly drops at first and then it slows down, which is normal. But the slowdown is where we panic. This is not failure. It's just the body is adjusting and settling into a normal pace. So why does weight loss feel slower than it is? Well, a few things mess with our perceptions. For example, water retention can hide progress. Stress and sleep affect the scale weight, which a lot of people don't know. Your body has also adapted to the deficit slightly, and fat loss itself is gradual. So even when everything is working, it doesn't always look like it day to day. So what do we do instead? Well, we've got to stop thinking short term, first of all. Day to day thinking will just mess with our head. Even week to week sometimes. Think more like, where will I be in 8 to 12 weeks if I just stay consistent? Because a realistic pace is about 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. It doesn't sound much, but over time it adds up. And this is the part that people don't wait for. I've had it in the past. I have experience with many different online fitness coaches. Over the last 6 or 7 years, I've tried different ones. They've all worked in different ways. But one thing I will get from all of them is trust the process. So initially, when I go to a coach, I'm probably at my worst. I'm feeling unfit, very overweight, and this creates a state of panic. And when I'm not losing weight initially, or I'm not seeing results quick enough, then I start saying things to them like, do we need to cut my calories? Do I need to up my cardio? Do I need to up my steps? Like, I'm trying to rush them. And I need to remember that they are the coach. I'm paying them. They're the expert. They will tell me. But my state of panic was like, oh no, this is not enough. We need to be doing it faster. And this is before I learned about this. But then when I let go and I trust the process, and I looked at my progress over sort of 12 weeks or 8 weeks, I was like, oh my God, my body shape has changed. But because we're eating the right amount of macros for the body, the right amount of calories, they're giving you a step count, they're telling you what to do in the gym, they're literally telling you everything. I was getting very strong at the same time as losing fat. So I didn't initially feel like I was losing anything. But then I suddenly, one day after about 8 weeks, I was like, oh my God, where have I disappeared to? And that you can see it in the progress pictures. So if this gives you any hope to hold on long term, delayed gratification, you will get the results if you follow the plan, but it's just not going to be instant. And this was a very big learn for me. Number 3 is motivation won't carry you. So motivation, pretty much in anything, will always feel strong at the start. Everything feels new, you're excited, you feel locked in, you've got a fresh start, and this is the time you feel it's finally going to work. But a lot of this is just your brain reacting to something new. Dopamine is high when you start particularly a weight loss journey because there's novelty, reward, and the thought of the progress feels exciting. And even when you start making some small changes in the beginning, it makes you feel really good. But after a while, your brain gets used to it. It's not new anymore. The reward isn't hitting the same. It's not as exciting. You're not getting that same dopamine response from just doing the plan. So motivation naturally drops even if you're still doing everything right. And a lot of people misread that. They think that losing motivation means that something has gone wrong, but it's actually just your brain adapting. So why does consistency matter more than the motivation? It's because fat loss doesn't come from motivation or feeling excited. That's just a feeling. It comes from repetition, even when it's normal or boring. So if you start creating habits, that removes constant decision making, so you're less sort of mentally fatigued. Your brain stops relying on reward spikes every time. And consistency beats feelings, and progress is built on repetition, not feelings. So it's not about waiting to feel ready every day. It's just about continuing even when it doesn't feel exciting anymore. So what do we do instead? Well, instead of relying on motivation or these dopamine spikes, you just build a structure that runs without those things. So make sure you're hitting things like your calorie goal every day. Even if it's not like 100%, 70 or 80 or 90% is better than not sticking to your plan at all. Try and be consistent with your steps. So walk even when you don't feel like it. Train regularly, even if some sessions you feel tired or flat and you don't want to, because the body is not going to change from excitement. It's going to change from repetition over time. So when the motivation drops, because you're going to have motivation at the beginning, but it is going to drop. And if you expect that, once it's dropped, the motivation's gone. It's the consistency that's going to keep you going when your brain gets bored. So if your weight loss is feeling slow right now, it doesn't always mean that something is wrong. Most of the time, it can just be you're in a phase where things are actually working, but it's just not so obvious yet. But it doesn't apply to every single situation. Sometimes you still need to step back and look at what you're doing and adjust your diet plan if you feel something's off. And just a reminder that true fat loss doesn't happen instantly. It's quiet and it builds in the background and shows up suddenly later down the line, but you just need to stick with it long enough to see those results. I'm going through my own weight loss journey at the moment, so I know how hard these things can be. And if you can relate to this video, comment below anything you've experienced yourself, and is there anything you did to overcome it, or if there's anything you're going to start trying from now on. And if this video has helped, feel free to like and subscribe and share, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.